oh, we should already know. Well, a lot of us are being taught different. So that's
What the hell? What happened?
they need a mute.
Go ahead,
Hello?
Glo.
Um, I can hear myself, but yeah, so it's just a lot of us have been taught differently. If your family is not expressing that you from Africa, what are we supposed to go off of? You know, besides education, so that's why a lot of us are not sure. A lot of us are making a stance on what we have been taught. We're not saying, well, I don't know, but me personally, I ain't saying either right or wrong. I just never been taught that I was a Moor or I was an African or I was a Hebrew Israelite. I wasn't even taught I was Indian. And when I just met my great
So what
grandma.
was you taught?
Can I talk? I didn't interrupt you,
What
sir.
was you taught? What was you
Anyway,
taught?
so I just met my great grandma 5 years ago, and she had explained
A
to
simple
me
fucking
that
question. You
they
niggas are sad.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Hey, hey, come on now, Grand Verbalizer. Let's be respectful now. Let her finish and you can go after JFFF. I'll put you on the list. Go ahead, Glo. Sorry about that.
no, you get. My great grandma had told me that they didn't speak of certain things because a lot of them were being killed just to even mention their bloodline. So that's why it's a little hard to accept some of the things that the conscious community teaches and some of the other platforms on YouTube teach. So yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you. Glo, go ahead, JFFF.
I don't even know if I want to say the damn thing. They tripping.
Go
They
ahead. You
tripping
got
out
it.
here. They tripping.
It's
They
okay.
tripping,
We gonna
man.
be all right. We gonna all be all
Yeah,
right.
you know I know that. You know how you know that. And I like when all facets of the conversation come together. I just get off the train with the evolution theory. Because what you have out there is now black people saying that we conquered the world and white people came from Neanderthals and other shit like that, and that we had sex with all these other races of Neanderthals as we swept across the continent. But that means if a white human being came from a fucking lemur, that's a far reach. Um, and then to say that we fucking some lemurs or some wild ass people in the woods like fucking pigs and shit, that's another stretch. You know, Moors, means it's short for morality. So to be black in those periods of times, everybody instantly, when you was black, they called you a Moor. They called you a Moor because that was the terminology used for Negroes at a certain time period on this planet. But Moors came from morality. Moors are so fucking old and so long ago, the timeline is all messed up. It's the timeline that you can't get with. Because all this shit supposedly happened if you go back to the Neanderthal man only 500,000 years ago, which is totally fucked up because we got statues that's underwater that date back to fucking the Paleolithic era, way, way back long time ago. So, a lot of the Neanderthal and the mixing of the bloodlines, it's I don't know that story too well, but I do know that when it comes to the Moors were subjugated all the way up until the King Solomon's temple. When that happened, that's when the Moors lost control. It's very evident that's what they're fighting over right now in the Gaza Strip in the Middle East. They're fighting over the Temple Mount, the most idiotic thing that the Moors ever were part of and constructed on this planet. It links to so many conspiracy theories from the Middle East that they try to cover that. That's the main sticking point. The only way you can get into the Temple Mount is going through the Moors Gate, which is a gate that the Moors specifically built in the Temple Mount of King Solomon's temple. They was around during the construction. They was around before the construction. A lot of these things ain't gonna tell you in no books, no history. Only historical fact that you know the Moors were there when they built King Solomon's temple is the name of the gate that you gotta walk through. It's the only gate people can walk through to this day because of the Moors tradition. If the person walks through the eastern or the western gate, that's like the Messiah coming home for the Moors. So it's a whole big controversy around the Moors and what happened. But essentially, when we stopped calling ourselves the Moors is when we had a big battle, a big clash with all these other races and groups of people who wanted to overthrow us. They was tired of niggas coming in, fucking all they women, having all them babies, just like the Sicilians and everybody else. So that's why we are so, how would you say it, oppressed around the globe, because we were once the top dogs on this planet. And they don't want to ever go back to it, because who would want to be back under the thumb of somebody else? And I'll land there.
Thank you, JFFF. Go ahead, Grand Verbalizer.
I'm gonna address the younger, the youth, and the people who think like the youth. I'm addressing Glow. I used to think the same thing because I didn't know. I didn't know who I was. I thought I was whatever the missionary said or whatever the pastor said. God damn it. And when I educated myself, because I didn't trust Malcolm X, I didn't trust those individuals who had our better interests in mind when they was talking about by any means necessary. I didn't trust that because I was all about forgiving, turning the other cheek, holding hands, all that beautiful shit. Okay? And when I found that out, I'm a type of individual that tries to articulate this to our people in a way that they don't feel offended and don't get offended. And when you say things like the older generation was in this for a long time, I used to say the same thing. I used to blame others instead of blaming myself for not educating myself, instead of blaming me for not finding those answers. Why you laughing? I mean, you can laugh all day. They not playing. Y'all are. They know more about you than you know about yourself. And you think that's funny. I'm not long-winded, but y'all talk about respect. And here I am trying to give my opinion, and you're laughing. You're disrespectful, but you expect respect in return, just like a cracker. God damn it, you got to unlearn that European learned behavior. Until
just ignore
then,
it, Grand Verbalizer. Just keep saying
I am
what
ignoring
you're saying.
it, and I'm also addressing it. Until then, you're going to be laughing. You're going to be in fear. Stop trying to control Grand Verbalizer's response. Secondly, man, I ain't got nothing to say because you niggas don't care. I'm done. That was it.
You always say that. You need to put that on a t-shirt. Go ahead, Squeeze.
Yeah, let's see how many people laugh at Squeeze.
That's my brother. You better not laugh at him. That's my brother.
But you didn't say nothing about them laughing at me. Go ahead, Squeeze.
I did just say something.
All right, so basically I just wanted to say, this is a good panel. I like what I'm hearing. And the main question is, where are we going moving forward? We got all this information, and now what?
Okay, so you have a general question. Okay, so let me put Grand Verbalizer back on the list. Hold on. Cosmic, you're next. Go ahead, Cosmic. Welcome to the panel. Hope you're having a great day on purpose.
Yeah, peace and blessings, light and love to the panel. From what I've heard so far, I guess it's a little bit over the place, but it seems to be centered around like our history and who and what we were in the past. And so, and the interesting thing is the country was on a concerted effort to characterize Africa as the dark continent, to characterize Africa and Africans as backwards and savage. And that's in the subconscious of the culture. it's not even something you have to think about. It's automatic, disgust, when you think about Africans. If you're not really engaged in the conversation, if you're just living your life, it's subconsciously programmed into the culture to think negatively of Africa. And so then those of us that, are seeking to clarify history and seeking to like put things in its proper perspective and give respect where it's due, give respect to Islam where it's due, give respect to the Moors where it's due, give respect to Africans where it's due. We're fighting an uphill battle because we have to like not only acknowledge and recognize the African within us, but then we have to also characterize the story of Africa in such a way where people can really understand it, and then also, come against the unconscious bias against Africa that's programmed in the culture. It is in American culture to look upon Africans with disdain. They programmed themselves that way. Primarily, some of our scholars would say it's because they fear genetic annihilation. And so then they have to eliminate us in their mind so that when in society, it's okay and justified when they socially and economically strangle us. It's okay, and because of the way they think about us, it's okay or it's socially acceptable when a cop takes our lives because we've already been dehumanized. See, with us, we want to disassociate ourselves from the dark continent, but to them, they know what our association is. And then the effort to eliminate us, either economically or physically, is always in the forefront of their consciousness. And those lackeys that never really address this level of consciousness within themselves. I'm gonna land right there because I keep going.
All right, thank you, Cosmic. Hey, Boom. Go ahead, Got Energy.
I thought I was next. Go ahead, GE.
No, you're after Glow.
Of course.
No, that's the way the list goes. Scroll up. I'm fair.
What, I can't say of course? I said okay.
Okay. It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay, y'all.
Stop doing me like that, Unity. I'm not a child.
No, I'm talking to everybody. I said everything's gonna be okay, y'all.
What's up, GE? You gonna speak? God energy?
He must have stepped
Peace,
away from his
peace, y'all.
phone.
Yeah, I was just waiting for y'all to land. But with this, right? What Cosmic said is very deep. We see the manifestation of it here, right? But where there's smoke, there's fire. So I do feel like we need to be able to move to a place to have a conversation that we can mutually have amongst each other that acknowledges and respects all of our favorite ancient civilization, right? And I'm talking about the one that you link back to as your ancestral history, whether it be Hebrew Israelite, whether it be Moorish, whether it be Aboriginal American, whether it be sort of West African culture or East African culture, right? Whatever your favorite ancient civilization is. I think we should be able to have conversations that benefit our people that still respects everyone's favorite ancient civilization. And I don't think we should sacrifice the betterment of our people. I don't think we should sacrifice unity. I don't think we should sacrifice upward mobility in civilization. I don't think we should sacrifice that for the sake of arguing over which ancient civilization we like the most, right? I think that's very petty. I think that's very shallow. I think that's very ignorant. So whatever you elect as your favorite ancient civilization, great. I'm glad it empowered you to come to the table about bettering our people. I love whatever brought you to the table. I respect whatever brought you to the table. But we need to address certain things on the table that affects all Black people, regardless of what we call ourselves, regardless if they hate the term Black, regardless if they feel like we need nationality and status and claim Aboriginal rights. Okay, right? But we have things that affect all Black people, regardless if they elect into those things. And those things we can immediately address. We can immediately start becoming more civically active, getting more involved in the government of our communities, right? Getting more involved in these programs and the funding in our communities. starting businesses in our communities, providing jobs for Black children in our communities. And none of that revolves around which ancient civilization is your ancestor and your favorite. So I think we do ourselves a disservice. I think we do the very ancestors we look to a disservice when we argue and separate over these frivolous ass topics. It's frivolous. Your favorite ancient civilization is frivolous, right? As long as you are empowered and inspired. But there needs to be a private conversation and a public conversation. And I think religion and whatever our ethnic, cultural background is, I think those need to start moving to be more private conversations. And we need to start having more civic and economic conversations. I'll land my plane.
Thank you, God Energy. Go ahead, Glow.
So yeah, as I said, the older generation had a long run. No, you know what? Fuck that. The conscious community has had a long run with this information. Not only that, a lot of the people in the conscious community have been agents. A lot of the groups that started a lot of them were agents. Not only that, I didn't grow up with Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. So it ain't nothing that I can actually say except for what I've been learning in my adulthood. So it's not that I'm not taking time to figure out who I am. It's just that it's obvious for some reason in this day and age, I'm learning it at the age that I'm learning it. So it's not that I'm being ignorant to who I am. It just was not a talking subject when I was coming up as a child. I didn't hang around people that talked about these type of things. I didn't even hear the adults talking about these type of things. So if no one's around me sparking these type of interests, why would it matter to me at a younger age? But now that I'm older, these are the main topics now. So it does spark my interest to figure out, well, why they saying we this and why they saying we that? Because my family don't speak about it. I didn't hear my friends' family talking about it. So that's why it sparks my interest now as an adult. So it's not that I'm being ignorant about it. It's just that it wasn't my time to know about it at the time that I should have been learning about it or that it was considered important. Appreciate you.
Thank you,
I
Glow.
think
Go ahead, Grim Verbalizer.
I'm no different from you, Glow. I was born in '72, and I think why we didn't hear those conversations is because our people lived those days. They were in fear of what could happen to us if we spoke up like they did. Why I think we didn't hear those type of conversations when we were coming up, like we're hearing them today. As far as to address what Squeeze said, applied knowledge is power. That's what we do with the knowledge. We don't run out and challenge our brothers and sisters about who knows more. God damn it. We apply it. We pass legislation. We trust the teachings of our ancestors when it comes to our health, like Dr. Sebi, Dr. Layla Africa. When it comes to our mindset, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, that says they are in fear of genetic annihilation. That makes sense. So we take that information and we apply it, which allows us to counter what the system has for us, what European politics, Trump and Biden and them have for us. But we're not even doing that. And because we are still indoctrinated in a European worldview, a European diet, a European holiday. I can go on and on, ladies and gentlemen, and that matters. That's what's preventing change because you are afraid. We got to learn to love and trust one another again. And you can't learn love from a people who don't love themselves. And what I'm saying is the white man don't even love his woman, let alone himself. And you think you're going to learn love from that concept of salvation of Jesus? No, you're not. I mean, if we did learn love, then what's the fucking problem? If you believe so much in the Bible or the Quran, then why are you living in sin? Why are you up here calling each other out your names and arguing with one another? Even though the scriptures say don't argue, don't debate, the scripture says reason with one another. Why is that so hard to do? Because you don't trust one another. But you trust Trump, you trust Dr. Oz, you trust what them crackers say, you trust everybody else but your own people. That's the problem. And like I said, for those who are educating themselves, applied knowledge is power. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Grand Verbalizer. Go ahead, Cosmic. Cosmic?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Can I get a reference point? Like, oh, what's the foundation and basis for these conversations? I kind of just jumped in because I hear
Well,
I hear several different points. I kind of don't know how to respond.
it all started with the Moors. So that's how it all started. So, and we're here now. And basically, Glow was saying she was asking how, she can't find it in her family tree and things to that extent.
You know, they have a facility in Denver, Colorado, right now.
Well, wait one second, because this Cosmic's turn, Grand Verbalizer.
No, he ain't saying nothing.
Oh, I thought he was talking. Is that all you had to say, Cosmic?
Are we responding to this to Glow, or are we just talking? We're responding to Glow.
No, you're just talking. Nobody. I mean, if you want to respond to somebody, you can.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's it.
They don't want to hear me talk. Go ahead, Cosmic.
No, it's not that nobody wants to hear you talk. It's just Cosmic was talking at first, and you were next. So he's done. So go ahead. You're good.
Man, they got a facility in Denver, Colorado, 6 miles wide. Every day they study melanin. Like Cosmic said, we out here arguing about if we an Egyptian or Moor or indigenous or copper. God damn it. What I'm trying to tell you is, man, you study the greats and become greater, is what I'm trying to tell you. Cosmic reference Francis Cress Welsing, ISIS papers. We're advising you to educate yourself, to shift your paradigm. That's what these conversations are about. Great question. What are these conversations about? Well, I like to think that they're about empowerment, about each one teach one, so we can come out of this predicament we're in. So 100 years from now, our children won't be up here asking the same questions we're asking today. That's what I like to think these conversations are for. That's it.
Thank you, Grand Verbalizer. Go ahead, Squeeze. Where are you at?
Hold on, I'm
Oh.
back.
I wonder if you niggas really listening.
You ready?
Go ahead.
I just forgot exactly what I was gonna say because it took a long.
It's okay. I'll put you back on the list. JFFF, go ahead.
I forgot. Man, I can't even.
Man, I just got finished watching damn Shields knock damn Perkins out. No, I just think that a lot of times, man, people get stuck in history. They don't either go back far enough or they just skim the surface. You know, I remember when I first got up here, it was only a couple panels, and I'm glad, I am just hopped up here because I am was one of the first people to kind of put me on to like the Tartarians, as above, so below, which was one of the things that I already knew about, as above, but so below. But I didn't know about the Tartarians. It was a few more things that you really got to go back in history to kind of dig up. Like when people talk about the Moors and how we were the origin people on this planet. I don't know about all that, but I know we was here for millions of years. And that's the problem. The timeline is only going back maybe 200, 500,000 years. Well, off the coast of Hawaii, Hawaii is connected to a continent that's submerged under the ocean. It's called the continent of Mu. Now, the continent of Mu consists of Easter Island, Nan Madol, the monuments off the coast of Japan, the Unagawi monuments, and it also consists of like parts of New Zealand and the archipelago down there. And those artifacts are so fucking old that, you know, they predate millions of years, but they're going to push them all up to around whatever time they put them to in our history, in written history. But in archaeological history, that continent is over 190 million years old. That's probably the last time when it was above water. So just to give you a sheer scale and size of history and time, the earth is 3-point-something billion years old. Billion. They said the dinosaurs ruled most of the time that was here. But yet you can find in caves in Mexico and Arizona, Montana, of goddamn triceratops out there with a human being. You know what I'm saying? These types of things that you can see that the ancient indigenous people put on symbols. They didn't write it. They just drew it. Because when you write something, you can interpret it how the fuck you want to. If you're drawing something, you can look at it and there ain't too many interpretations you're going to get from it. If it's looked like a giraffe, how many other long neck animals you know that got 4 legs and got a long neck like that? So it's very few. But my point is that history is so vastly sugar-coated. We're defending vehemently something that is only probably 1% or 2% of our history itself. We're arguing about maybe 2% of our fucking history all the time. I'll come up here all the time and hear it. But it's like somebody got to be right and somebody got to be wrong. Well, how about we all wrong? And let's start from there. Let's just start with, if we know about the Moors, it was short for morality. Every day, if you meet a brother or a sister, say hello. That's common courtesy. Greet. You ain't got to pull your head down. If you get hired by another melanated person, you ain't got to steal from them. You make their business fail. Now they got to fail, pull the carpet out of their business, and now you out of a job too. We have so many instances where the simplest thing, which is morality, that we talking about, but we go over all the time with each other. Somebody got to cuss somebody out. And we all know the etymology of words, cursing. So when you curse somebody out, you actually cursing yourself as well. Nothing good come from it. So when you say, fuck you, I hate you, those things you can't put back in yourself. That's in the universe. Now you done said some shit that you really don't mean. So when I look at it, how can we get better? It's how the hell we treat each other from ourselves. Start with your damn self. Stop trying to sweep around somebody else's door or somebody else's history and respect the motherfucker. Respect the person. That's all you got to do. Morality. If another black person give you an opportunity, don't you go back and fuck it over or fuck that person over. Or don't you try to give a person an opportunity knowing you got a hidden agenda within that opportunity. Simple things we do to each other that is taken to the next person. And the next person say, oh shit, he did it to me. I'm going to do it to you. We look at so many instances on TV. I remember the New Edition story and how Tank sat Michael Bivins down and showed him the business, right? Showed him the business. Michael Bivins didn't come out and say, oh, I'm going to do better. Barry Gordy didn't do that when he did Motown. He could have he just like Martin Luther, led our people because of his morality, the money, the fame, wanting to be coddled by another race, wanted to be coddled and known worldwide. Simple things that erode at the morality of a person. To get that $100 million, you don't have to steal, lie, kill, cheat. You don't have to do none of that. So anything that we do, we talk about how we move with each other. If at some point in time you know you doing something that's stepping out of your moral compass, and you gonna say, and you justified to do it, that's where we lost right there. Because somebody's looking at you do it. A little kid, your niece, your nephew, whoever.